What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we got another Bright Eyes reaction. This time their album Cassadaga, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and Bright Eyes super fan, Caitlin. Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons that make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below, the Patreon link on the end screen. All right, it's been a little bit since I've done any Bright Eyes, but there's a playlist you can click on in this video. I've done a few albums for Caitlin, and I super enjoy Bright Eyes. A little information about this album. It's their 7th or 8th studio album, depending on how you count the Christmas album, I think, because I see people call it different things. Released in April of 2007. Around 25 to 30 songs were recorded in 2006, with 13 of these appearing on the final track list. It's named after the town of Cassadaga, Florida, a community of mediums and followers of spiritualism. And supposedly Connor went there and went to some retreat there or something. I don't know if that part's true or not. I found it in one place, didn't find it anywhere else. Zeberg of The Like, Sherry Dupree and Stacey King of Isley, as well as solo artist Rachel Yamagata, all appear on this album. This debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, became the highest charting album in the US for Bright Eyes at the time. 13 in the UK, 12 on Rolling Stone's list of the top 50 albums of 2007, but I did read a lot of critical reviews that were kind of all over the place on it. The cover is interesting. The CD and the LP versions of the album come with a spectral decoder, which allows users to see the true art on the album. One particular segment of text located on the back of the case includes a phrase in Russian, meaning "draw another bloody bath," a reference to the first track's lyrics. Another hidden phrase is in incorrect Greek, meaning the past presents the future, which is also the title of an album by Her Space Holiday, with whom Bright Eyes released a split single. There's all kinds of stuff on there if you really want to deep dive into that. Won a Grammy for Best Recording Package. That's why I mentioned all that stuff. All songs written by Connor, except where noted. And if you hadn't joined us before, the music will not be in the video, but it will be in a Vimeo link below. First track up, we have Clairaudience. I don't know if I am saying that right or not. Kill or Be Killed in parentheses. There's usually this spoken word first song of Bright Eyes that usually kind of sets the tone of the album. So I'm going to assume this is the same thing, but I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Very important for Connor. I think Connor's one of the greatest lyricists of this century, if not the greatest lyricist of this century. So you got to pay attention to those lyrics, boys and girls. All right. Thanks again, Caitlin. Let's get after it. Clairaudience, you know, Connor has said before on some of the other ones I've done, one of his quotes was, we put this first track on here to see who's really in it, right? Who's really dedicated, who's really a fan, who's going to stick around. I don't usually ever say a lot about these first tracks just because there's so much going on, right? You got the woman and, you know, mix, a little bit of a weird mix on her spoken word to kind of draw you in. Then Connor sounds great, just kind of singing about all the things that have changed and kind of the hypocritical things that are going on. So I can see how that's setting the tone, you know, and at the start, you know, she's kind of talking about refocusing your life and the things you got to do to kind of cleanse your life of those bad things. So that's as far as I'm going to go, boys and girls, in breaking this one down, but always interesting. That first track is always interesting. Next up, we have Four Winds. There's a little bit of background just on this because it's an EP originally. It was released on March 6, 2007. Title track is the first single from this album. The other 5 tracks are exclusive B-sides from that 2006 recording session. Remember, I told you there's 25 to 30 songs recorded. This song was ranked 5 on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 best songs of 2007. It makes several references to The Second Coming by Yates, particularly in the refrain, which references slouching towards Bethlehem. In 2009, the great rock band from Las Vegas, The Killers, love them, man. Got some of their stuff up, watched them in concert last year. They recorded a cover version of this, which was released as a B-side to Spaceman, which is from their 2009 album, Day and Age. All right, Four Winds. A lot of great instrumentation here. Mike Mogus plays the guitar, the mandolin, the banjo, which you heard a lot at the start, the bass, the half guitar, lap steel, castanets, dobro. Nate's on the organ, Wurlitzer piano, flugelhorn, and of course Connor's on the guitar and vocals. He's got a lot of stuff going on in a song that's 4 minutes, 15 seconds. So great instrumentation. The writing's really good. I don't agree with the writing because I'm a Christian, right? And it takes some shots at organized religion, which I get taking shots at organized religion, but not the religion itself. Takes a little shot in there at Jesus and those sorts of things. So I can't sign up to agree with that, but I will tell you it's excellently written, right? As you would expect from Connor, because he's a songwriting genius, and I don't throw around that word very often. But I did like the sound of it. I'm not, you know, Caitlin told me this song has more of a, or this album has more of a country feel. I'm not a big country person, but I can get on board with some of it, or countryish type sounds. And I think you had a lot going on in this song, but I can see why Rolling Stone picked it so high for the songs in that year. And in there, he throws a little shout out to Cassadaga, where the retreat that's there, it said in the little part I just read on it, that it has mediums and psychics and all kinds of people practicing their trades, or dark arts, if you want to ask me. But that's the Cassadaga. Next up, we have If the Brakeman Turns My Way. Connor wrote it with Jason Basil, one of those two. If the Brakeman Turns My Way. Wonderfully written song, just wonderful. And I love the backing vocals, kind of the call and response, and it just gives it such a fantastic tone. And I mean, there's a lot to this song, but basically, you know, he's on drugs or doing other stuff as well, just to try to kind of escape his reality, whether it's a depression or he doesn't like where he is. So it kind of better find a place to better find yourself a place to level out. Better take a little time to level out. So it's a repeating like motif in here. I never thought of running, my feet just led the way. Like it wasn't a conscious decision. So now we use that. Mixed up singles, bullet trains, cars were switched out in the crazy rain. I can meet you any place if the brakeman turns my way. In other words, I've run away, but if the brakeman, which on a train would apply the brake, if he does it at the right place, maybe I'll see you. And all this automatic writing I've tried to understand from a psychedelic angel who is tugging on my hand. In other words, I somehow have this gift, I don't know where it's coming from, to write these fantastic songs. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it, but it's a fantastic song, man. Love the arrangement, the production, which Mike Mogus does the production on this album. Next up, we have Hot Knives. It was the second single. Connor said to NME in an interview, he said, Hot Knives is a song sort of about a woman that kind of discovers that her life is a sham and can't really exist in her reality any longer and has to transform completely into a new species. It sounds crazy, but it's not that crazy. It could happen to you too. All right. Hot Knives, another bunch of allusions to Christianity and to Jesus. And, you know, I don't think it's outright disrespectful, so I don't have to really speak out against it. You know, I listen to all kinds of music if you watch this channel, obviously. And, you know, 99% of it is not, quote, Christian music for sure. And that's fine. If it openly speaks against Christ or Christianity, then I do have to at least share my thoughts on it. But not sure on this one that he's actually speaking out against it. But I learned something because I didn't know. So give me black light, give me hot knives. I mean, I didn't know what hot knives were. I've never heard of this before. They're little balls of hash that are vaporized with red hot butter knives, sometimes through a paper towel tube to avoid accidental lip burn, usually done on a stovetop, but a torch is faster. Hey man, I don't know the ins and outs of the drug stuff, but I know Connor has a lot of history on this that he's been honest on. So yeah, it's just an interesting song. The wife forgave the mistress, for she only entertained. The pain was gone the instant she cleared her throat to speak her name. Said both of us must suffer from the same unending ache. That's how this song starts. It's fantastic, right? The guy is the problem here, not the wife, not the mistress. The guy, he made the choices and causing both of them pain. So clever songwriting, as always. All right, next up, always a good idea. Make a plan to love me. Make a plan to love me. Great strings arrangement on this. Backing vocals, man. I love the atmosphere of it. The vocals, the lyrics, I see some people say it could be written about a government. I think it's just written to a girl, but I don't know. It could be written to both, right? But basically just saying, you know, life is too short. Death doesn't ask. It don't owe you that. Some things you lose, you don't get back. So just know what you have and make a plan to love me sometime soon. In other words, all this stuff you're chasing in this life really all comes down to the impact you made on people around you. When your time is up, right? No one's going to remember all the money or positions you got. Like when you're young, the world's a Ferris wheel. I know we will grow old. It is lovely still. Life is too short to be a fool. I don't owe you that. Do what you feel, whatever's cool. But I just have to ask, will you make a plan to love me? So, you know, when you're younger, you don't realize how quickly this time passes. I mean, it's cliched. You hear older people say it. Now I am the older person and I'm like, where the heck did all that time go? So as usual, great writing on that one. Now we're up to Soul Singer in a Session Band. Great name. Soul Singer in a Session Band, which in itself is kind of a weird thing, right? Because a session band is just that they're great musicians who are just paid to go in and play on albums. They don't really have any stake in it, right? Or any emotion in it. Whereas a soul singer brings the ultimate emotion. So you've already got that dichotomy going on. So no, I don't think anything Connor does is not thought out, right? And there's all kinds of allusions to a little bit of Dylan in here, a little bit of Hansel and Gretel, all kinds of allusions in here. But you know, the chorus is, see the soul singer in the session band shredded to ribbons beneath the microphone stand. Felt the quickness of pity like a flash in a pan for the soul singer in the session band. And he just goes on to kind of just go out with different, like I had a lengthy discussion about the power of myth, which is this documentary, which is a book and a documentary series with a postmodern author who didn't exist in this fictitious world, all reality twist. I was a hopeless romantic, now I'm turning tricks. So, I mean, every line is just so well thought. That's why you get the comparisons to a Dylan or someone like that. Headlights or taillights, it's a flip of the coin. I've been coming and going since the day I was born, and I followed the breadcrumbs, but I never got home. I grew old in an instant. Now I'm all on my own. I mean, yeah, I mean, this song is fantastic. Next up, we have Classic Cars, and I found it in several places. It's speculated to be about Connor's relationship with Winona Ryder. I did not know that they had a relationship, but I looked it up. They did. And I mean, most people agree that's what this is about. So let's see if we can see that in the lyrics. Classic Cars. I really enjoyed that one too. Once again, as usual, fantastic written song. One of the great verses. And I keep looking for that blindfold faith, lighting candles to a cynical saint who wants the last laugh at the fly trapped in the windowsill tape. You can go right out of your mind trying to escape from the panic paradox of day to day. If you can't understand something, then it's best to be afraid. So he's talking about himself trapped on the windowsill in that tape, right? Proverbial trapping. The whole world that loves you if you're a chic chameleon. Intersecting circles she could hang with anyone. When conducting business, she would lie about where she's from, saying life is how it is, not how it was. In the last verse, and they keep moving at a glacial pace, turning circles in a memory maze. I made a new cast of the death mask that's going to cover my face. I had to change a combination to the safe. Hit it all behind a wall, let people wait, and never trust a heart that's so bent it can't break. So, I mean, yeah, this song is great. Next up, we have Middleman. So you got Mike Mogus on that lap steel guitar, really adding a texture to the song. Got some bass clarinet here, and then just your usual, you know, suspects, some woodwind stuff in there. I haven't really commented on the country flair to this album. It's not overbearing. It's more subtle. Now this song is a little more obvious, right? But I think it really lends to the songs. It's not distracting to me at all. I think it actually is a really good choice. This song, I think, is just kind of about being caught in between with everyone, right? So I become the middleman. The gray areas are mine. The in between, the absentee is a beautiful disguise. So I keep my footlights shining bright, just like I keep my exits wide. I know that's allusions to other songs that is written. Because I never know when it's time to go. It's too crowded now inside. The dead can hide beneath the ground and the birds can fly away, but the rest of us do what we must in constant compromise. I mean, Connor can write a song, man. Now we're up to track number 9, Cleanse song. Connor told Spin magazine back in the day, I think it's about rebirth. I was in LA for about a month at the beginning of 2006 doing this cleanse. You don't drink anything but water or coconut water and this ash stuff that sucks the toxins out of your bloodstream. You can only eat raw fruits and vegetables. I was just feeling bad in every way, so I guess we'll see how that plays out here. Cleanse song, not only cleansing the body, maybe a rebirth of the body, you know, as he just kind of goes through this stuff. Don't forget what you've learned. All you give is returned. And if life seems absurd, what you need is some laughter. Just kind of going through LA, Glendale, the different places, Oxnard. Take the fruit from the tree, break the skin with your teeth. Is it bitter or sweet? All depends on your timing. So that's true. Like fruit, you can't eat it. Then it becomes ripe and it's great. And then it turns bad pretty quickly. So I think he might be talking about, you know, moments in life. You better take advantage of them when you can. Like a meeting of chance with a train station glance. Many lifetimes have passed in an instant reminded. So, I mean, I say it almost every song, but I love reading the lyrics that are just, I mean, they're so well thought out. Next up, a very interesting title. No One Would Riot for Less. Supposedly it's about life after the world's oil reserves run out. Connor mentioned in that interview with NME I referenced earlier that Janine Garofalo helped him title the song after he performed on her show. No one would riot for less. first half of the song is just chill totally. Connor's just drawing you in to the story, and then Mike comes in with the lap pedal steel in there and some string arrangements that is just it's really nice, man. Just adds to the ambiance of the song, which basically, you know, he said it's about the oil reserves running out. It's about war, you know, which would be what would happen in that instance, right? And just all those things. So love me now, hell is coming, kiss my mouth, hell is here. When that physical contact is, as life is about ready to end. He says, help me out, hell is coming. Could you do it now? Hell is here. Somebody wanting them to take their life, maybe a soldier who's injured. Wake, baby, wake, but leave that blanket around you. There's nowhere as safe. I'm leaving this place, but there's nothing I'm planning to take. Just you, is how it ends. And the gravity and the way Connor delivers the lines really draws you in and adds to the like seriousness of the song. Really well done. Except Coat Check Dream Song, written by Connor and Nate Walcott. All right, Coat Check Dream Song, a totally different song. It kind of had some Middle Eastern influence. You had the chanting at the end, which I'll tell you what that was saying. But at the start, you had kind of hand percussion stuff. You have an electric piano. You have a vibraphone. The song itself is, I won't say a little abstract. I mean, I don't know what the proper word is, but not exactly sure where he's going with this, but I know he's going somewhere. I mean, it's definitely written in a pattern and written well, but stuck on a ladder to heaven on a trial way back in The Hague. Lullaby sounds from the engine in my styrofoam coffin, asleep on the interstate. So like in a styrofoam box, right? The part that's chanted over like the last minute, 15 seconds is an Arabic saying meaning happiness is total, complete with freedom. So yeah, just like way out of left field on a 13-song album so far. That was song 11, but I liked it. It was interesting. Next up we have I Must Belong Somewhere. I Must Belong Somewhere. So much of this song, you know, a 6-minute song with some bands, there's not a lot to it. 6 minutes with Bright Eyes with Connor writing, just like with Dylan writing, right? The parallels are there. There's a lot to it. So I'm not going to break it all down. Just kind of like, it's just going through leaving things alone. Leave the sad guitar in his heart showcase. Leave the word look on your lover's face. Let the orange embers in the fireplace remain like it's still barely hanging on. Because everything, it must belong somewhere. A train off in the distance, bicycle chained to the stairs. Everything, it must belong somewhere. I know that now. That's why I'm staying here. And he just kind of goes through this, right? Leave the secret talks on the trundle bed. Leave the garden tools in that rusted shed. Leave those bad ideas in your troubled head today. So maybe a little allusion to harming yourself. And just kind of goes through just all of these great things, like we the novelist in his daydream tomb, we the scientist in a Rubik's Cube, but the true genius in the padded room remains. So a lot of geniuses have mental issues, right? As part of their genius, leave them in that padded room. You know it's true. I wish you'd leave me here. Now you know it's true. Why don't you leave me here? So that's how it ends. So Connor just wants to be left alone. That's why I say he's kind of making this case that, look, all these things have their place, and this is mine, so leave me alone. That's kind of my take on it. All right, we're up to the final track. We got Lime Tree. Connor said this album is a collection of stories that have happened to him and his friends. This song cuts to the heart of grief and the realization that he still loves his ex, who had an abortion, but the relationship is over. He tries to chase the feeling of drugs and nostalgic ruminations, but ends up taking off his shoes and walking in the woods to find and lose himself. That is a great write-up that I found in one of the publications that did a review of this. I think it was Pitchfork, so let's check it out. Lime Tree, one of the most emotive and I would say best vocal performance by Connor on this album. I don't know, you guys probably, some of you might disagree, and I get that, but you know, what it's about, it's interesting. I think it's about the fleeting of time as well and how things change so quickly. Everything's imaginary, especially what you love. You left another message, said it's done. It's done. When I hear beautiful music, it's always from another time. So, you know, I mean, the first verse talks about the abortion and then how things are just changing so quickly. But I keep going out. I can't sleep next to a stranger when I'm coming down. It's 8 a.m. My heart's beating too loud. So probably got high, drunk, hooked up with a stranger. Now he doesn't want to wake up in bed with him because he can't really deal with it when he's sober. Don't be so amazing or I'll miss you too much. I felt something that I had never touched. The Lime Tree comes to me in fragments, even though still split in two. Under the eaves of that old lime tree, I stood examining the fruit. Some were ripe, some were rotten. I felt nauseous with the truth. There will never be a time more opportune. So kind of kind of going back to the Cleanse song, right? Kind of alluding back to that, which Connor connects songs so well, not only on the same album, but songs that he's done previously, but a lot of the same stuff there. Like the amount of time something is good, he's using the fruit as the analogy, the lime tree, but the amount of time that something's good is very minimal. So he follows up with, so I just won't be late. The window closes, shock rolls over in a tidal wave, and all the color drains out of the frame. So pleased with a daydream that now living is no good. I took off my shoes and walked into the woods. I felt lost and found with every step I took. So he finishes the album that way. So he starts off with talking about spiritual transformation, right? Maybe he's taking those steps or he's lost himself, right? I think he leaves it open to interpretation. Maybe he's walking out into a new life. That's going to bring me to my favorite tracks. I mean, there's 13 songs on here. So honorable mention, I Must Belong Somewhere, and the faves are going to be If the Brakeman Turns My Way, Soul Singer in a Session Band, Classic Cars, and this last track, Lime Tree. Now we'll get to my overall thoughts and grade on the album. And look, this is definitely a different album. I've done Down in the Weeds, Where the World Once Was. I've done Digital Ash and a Digital Urn. I've done I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. So I've done those. You know, you have folk greatness. You have some electronica greatness. This definitely has hinges of country, as Caitlin had told me when she brought this album. But I don't think it's overbearing. I think it works. I think it shows you that when you have a great lyricist like Connor, like a just generational lyricist, it really doesn't matter what you use as an arrangement, right? It doesn't mean that the instrumentation isn't great on here. There's a lot of these songs where it's just fantastic. But if you have those lyrics, man, and you have somebody who understands how to deliver them, I think it's always great when the songwriter is the lead vocalist in a lot of ways, because they know exactly where they were coming from and they can give that emotion. They know where those lines come from. It's just different, right? So I thought this was a really good album, man. It's not going to stack up with, you know, Digital Ash and a Digital Urn, or, you know, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. It's not going to stack up with those. So I think it's a really good album. I'm going to give it a 7.0. It's going to be hard to get much lower than that for me with Bright Eyes, just because I value Connor as a lyricist and a songwriter like so highly. So thank you to Caitlin for bringing me this one. Let me know, guys, what you think of this. What else should I check out from Bright Eyes? If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. We got over 2,200 videos. And don't forget, check out that playlist where all the Bright Eyes material is at. Until next time, guys, I will.